talking in front of a big group sometimes gives me the wobbly knees. So my presentation today is about an event that we do in the library, and it's missing a little subheading, but my subheading is that it doesn't have to be scary to involve youth services in the library, and that relates to our Halloween event, which we did. So me personally, I'm the youth development team leader at Bayside City Council, so I do a number of things from the planning and policy side of things to the supervision of our youth workers, and then little by little I try and get out there and do some fun stuff too. So there are some old pictures of me in there, so my hair changes throughout the journey, so you can enjoy that as we go along as well. So, who are we? So Bayside Youth Services work with young people 10 to 25 in the Bayside community, so they need to have some sort of a connection to Bayside, so whether that be they live in the area, whether they reside in the area, live or reside, same thing, go to school in the area or have some sort of recreational pursuit in Bayside, they can access all of our services. We have 3 spokes to our services, and all of those 3 spokes can actually be accessed in combination with the library and have been accessed, which is really great. So spoke number 1 is that we offer programs, so we do a number of school programs, community programs, and I'll talk a little bit about the program that we did in the library a couple of years ago. Our second spoke, so spoke B, is the events that we do, and I'll speak really more in detail about the Halloween Between Year Books event, which we have done for the last 4 years. And the other spoke that we have is the support that we offer young people in Bayside. So we offer both free and really accessible counselling services, so we can meet with young people one-on-one to provide counselling support, and also youth worker support. And it's been really great with the connection that I've made from Jenny from the libraries, that we're having actually librarians that are speaking to young people and then making referrals into counselling and youth worker support, which is really great, showing that community support element. Bayside itself, like young people, make up about 20% of the population, so that's a pretty significant chunk. So you need to make sure that we're including them and making sure that they are being included in questions and being able to get their opinions across. In 2014 we had about 15,000 contacts with young people, so that's pretty significant, and I'm sure that in the library would be just as double, almost double, because a lot of young people hang out in the library, which is great. So, Halloween Between the Books. So this lovely photo up here is actually from the most recent Halloween event, which was on the 24th of October. So we had 90 people in attendance, then plus staff and supporters, and we had some roaming zombies and those sorts of stuff on the night, which was really cool. So you'll see here the group in the photo, which they don't often look like that, but they're actually our Freezer committee. And for those of you who don't know, Freezer is a state government initiative that funds local government areas and other community agencies to run music and cultural events in their area. So our Freezer committee is actually the ones responsible for the planning, the development, the running and the evaluation of the Halloween Between the Books event. So even though I can get up here and say it's a program between youth services and the libraries, it actually comes down to these young people that have done it for the last 4 years and will continue to do it, which is really great, showing that youth participation approach. So, my Halloween. So these are a couple of examples of our posters, which have been made by one of our committee members, George, for the last couple of years. He's quite talented, which is really cool. The one on what's my right, but your left, was the initial one that we had back in 2012. And so you can see there that we had John Marsden be a guest speaker, so we've used some guest speakers over time. And then we've evolved that into the one on the right here, which is now what we do with the events. What activities do we have? So there's a number of traditional activities. So obviously the young people think that those traditional activities, like you've got your apple bobbing and your mummy competitions and that sort of stuff. We also like to make use of the facilities that are available in the library. And so for the last couple of years, we've had some library officers that have been really with interactive gaming. So we've had some Xbox stations and those sorts of things. So using those elements that are already in the library, which is really great. And also relating it to what is the kind of the cool thing at the moment. And I say that and I don't sound cool, so. But whatever the cool thing is, the photo down below is actually a manga cartooning, which was really big a couple of years ago. It's not, it's still popular, but it's not as big. It was really huge a couple of years ago. So we made sure we directed some money in towards that to be able to offer that to young people that were really interested in it. And then, it's really good just to see that the young people, enjoying the chess set and then realising that they can go back and do that in the library because that exists. So it kind of breaks down some of those stereotypes that it's just books in the library. There's actually other things in the library, which is really cool. One of the most popular activities in the library is a silent disco. And for those of you who have never experienced a silent disco, I thoroughly recommend it. I recommend it from two perspectives. One, it's great to be a participant in it because you get to just rock out without any worries. And the second one is that if you get to observe a group of young people doing silent disco, it's really great. So just a little explanation, you all walk around with headphones on, so, which, the shh in the library, that's okay. So I could be listening to Justin Bieber and sing along Baby Baby or whatever it might be, and then someone in the back could be rocking out to AC/DC, and so we're all in the same room listening to these different things. And I guess one of the really wonderful things was the first year that we did it. I walked into the room and you've got 100 young people that were in the silent disco room. They're just screaming at the top of their lungs. They're not really worried about it because they didn't realise that they can't hear anybody else. So it was really cool and it's such a great vibe. And that's developed too that we can also take the headphones around the library too, so you can kind of spread that and go throughout and make it a really roaming effect, which is really cool. I guess the question about why Halloween has come up for a lot of people, and that's really changed in the last couple of years. Coming from my background, I actually lived in the States for 8 years, so I've had a lot of experience with Halloween and events over there. But we get a lot of our pop culture influences from America and from the UK, and they're really big on celebrating an event like Halloween, and we're kind of becoming more that way, and it's becoming more acceptable. I had a bit of a Google on the way over here just to see the changes in Halloween. And it's actually from 2013 to 14, there's no current stats, but the sales of Halloween associated stuff went up by 15% in that year. So I'm sure that even the jump would have been even bigger going into 2015. I'm sure everyone in this room would have walked into Woolies or Coles and seen the pumpkins that you've got now available to carve up and those sorts of things. So it's definitely becoming a more commonplace activity to celebrate Halloween in our community. Not saying that we haven't had complaints in the past. I've had to deal with some phone calls asking why we're celebrating a witch holiday and those sorts of things, and Satanism, so, just coming around that. And I think with my experience with Halloween overseas and the way that I see it here, and the great connections from the libraries, is that it is a really big community event, and whole communities get involved to celebrate that, which is really good. And it does model safe behaviours because young people know that they can go to safe houses because often they put out balloons and those sorts of stuff to signify. And so modelling that it is a safe event that they can be themselves and dress up who they want to be is really great. So I think having that community approach is really good. Cool. And just another one before I finish up, because that's almost up here. I also want to touch on our school holiday program, which we currently call Extreme Teen. And this is kind of another thing that we've done in the past, which is really good, and I know a lot of other local government areas have holiday programs, so this is something that maybe you can pass on to them. But our school holiday program operates for 10 to 17-year-olds, so it's a little bit smaller than our whole youth services age group. But 1 year for Extreme Teen, I had the bright idea of saying, let's do a race around Brighton. And I thought that was all well and good, and I thought, how am I going to do this? And then I realised that Brighton has got a number of really great places that I can actually do activities in. So I got together with Jenny and had a chat, and she did this little quiz up in the library about, as you can see, there's lots of different questions there. So the library were a crucial element to that. So we were able to go into the library and run a leg of the race around Brighton, which was really cool. So that was a really great cross council initiative because lots of different departments within council worked on that, which was fantastic. So there's other ways to do it, which is cool. And I guess the biggest thing as well is that I often touch base with Jenny at Brighton because that's quite a hub for young people studying and doing their homework after school. So it's really good to be able to know that we can cross-promote there, so making sure that all the information that we have is up and current in the library is really good, and likewise with the library to us. Often there's emails back and forth saying we're doing this event, we're offering this for parents, we're offering this for young people, so that we can cross-promote with each other because as many people as we can have to pass on the message, then as many people as we can have to actually turn up to our events and our programs, which is really cool. I think that's about it. So I don't know if we're doing questions.
Yeah, does anyone got any questions for us?
Oh, yeah.
Down here?
Our
main challenge is actually getting young people to the library. So just some advice or hints and tips on how to attract young people.
Yeah, we don't have that real problem with Bayside libraries. They're quite well attended by young people. Often it was the case where I would go to the library to like be able to survey a group of young people, say for a strategy or something like that. They were already there. I mean, I know that the common draws for libraries are, you know, the free internet, so Wi-Fi, being close to transport and close to, you know, local schools as well. I can't speak for the libraries themselves about how they promote to young people specifically, but I know that our libraries are well attended by young people. I don't know if anyone from Bayside has anything to add to that?
We've got a lot of study space at Brighton, so they come to study. And if you've got someone at youth services at Ward Council that you can partner with, someone that's on municipality, they'll all just fall in place. They just start coming in. If you've got food there and they like eat and chat, that's all good.
Yeah, so breaking down those stereotypes that it is a library and it's supposed to be quiet and you can't do anything there, making sure that they, you know, that they are welcome and they can do it. I guess we run some programs from there too. So I run the Bayside Youth Ambassadors, and we meet actually above the library in the council chambers. But most of my kids on my committee, so there's 10 of them, probably, I don't know, half of them would come to the library before our meeting, and so they have that connection and then come up to the meeting. So using the space as well. We're about to lose a youth centre, which is a bit sad, so we might even be looking more towards the library to like use that space for counselling sessions and those sorts of stuff. So showing that it is a place that they can go to and use.